Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. The chance is, if you are a fan of the Andy Griffith Show, you spent the entirety of that series wishing that you could live in a place like Mayberry. And maybe many of the viewers did. We all admired the tight-knit community or the zany townsperson you have no doubt would be your best friend if you ever got the opportunity to meet them. The town itself was completely fictional, but the love that viewers had for the show was completely real, and it kept them returning week after week, episode after episode. It had the amazing ability to create an appeal that was universal, and that lay in the ability of the show to make you feel the whole spectrum of human emotion, where one minute you're laughing and the next minute there's a tear in your eye or a catch in your throat. What made the show special wasn't the conversation between the characters as much as it was the pauses that they took. That's something that you rarely see on television anymore, that being pauses. Pauses have as much to do with the show as the lines that are written, where people listen to each other. The town of Mayberry was the design of none other than Andy Griffith himself. Viewers far and wide wished that they had grown up or lived in a place like this. The kind and quirky townspeople and the pleasant atmosphere made Mayberry the sort of place that people sought for the rest of their lives. There's a connectiveness that viewers experience each time they visit Mayberry, episode after episode, as they become familiar with each character in it, which bring this fictional town to life. Two of the popular characters in the show never see the light of day. One was Sarah, the town's phone operator, and Juanita, Barney Fife's sometimes girlfriend. The main characters of the show were the Mayberry regulars. Andy Taylor, of course, his deputy Barney, Aunt Bee, and then, of course, his son Opie. Then there's quite a few minor characters that appear from time to time that gave the show its unique small-town feel. We get to experience Mayor Stoner and Mayor Pike, Floyd the Barber, Clara Edwards, old men sitting outside the courthouse, Otis the drunk, Gomer and Goober, Helen Crump, Thelma Lou, and a crude mountain family, and the town band. The audience never saw or heard from Sarah, the phone operator, or from Juanita, the server at the Bluebird Diner. These characters acquired a credibility comparable to that of the other actors, even though we never see them. And that's because they were more colorful in one's imagination. If you ever saw them, it would probably be a disappointment because they're too colorful in your mind. Sarah, that switchboard operator, was never seen, but she was mentioned in 23 episodes. Mayberry residents could pick up a telephone and ask Sarah to get them another party on the line. Sometimes she would also eavesdrop, and on other occasions, Andy and Barney would have short conversations with her. If you ever had to imagine what she really looked like in your mind, you would probably say that she resembled the picture that I had in the thumbnail of this video. She was probably in her mid-30s or 40s with a short bob hairdo, not too attractive, but not homely either. She also probably dressed rather plainly. No one knows if Sarah was married or if she had children. But the one thing we do know about her is that she was always on the job, 24 hours a day. We think that Sarah was probably very polite, but she could also be curt when the situation called for it. She, like the invisible Juanita at the diner, were fixtures in the town, even though we never saw them, and they were left completely to our imaginations. Juanita would always be at the diner, and Sarah would always be manning the switchboard. There were people in real-life small towns who were fixtures that you expected to see in their place every time. Sarah represented small-town American life, where one telephone operator was enough. She knew all the residents by name, just like her name was known. Andy and Barney never picked up the phone to make a call to find out that Sarah wasn't there. The town could always count on Floyd running the barber shop, Gomer, then later his cousin Goober, repairing cars at Wally's garage, and the same thing holds true for Sarah and Juanita. Even though they were never seen and viewers never heard their voices, they knew where they could always be found. The implication related to these women is to point the way that Thelma Lou had no last name. She was just Thelma Lou, and she was Barney's girl. The show really does a great job of developing these characters that never get an ounce of screen time. And with Sarah being left to our imagination, we know what she really looks like and how she talks, even though we've never seen her. Andy Griffith's development of the show brought his Southern roots to life. Growing up in North Carolina, it had a lasting effect on his work, with his childhood and young adult memories influencing his depiction of the fictional town of Mayberry. All of the characters that you see on the series were friends of his, people he grew up with in real life. He embellished them quite a bit, but nevertheless, he had experienced them at some point while he was growing up. There are tons of characters living in and around Mayberry that have been mentioned in the show but never seen. People like Al Becker, Buzz Jenkins, who steals chickens, Buzzy Leonard, whose car grill is found at the dump, Dick Reneker, who has trouble keeping his toupee on during windy days, Edgar Coleman, who glues hymn book covers on with Thelma Lou, or the always famous Myra Kuntz, who runs the lingerie shop, or as Barney calls it, the lingerie shop. All of these amazing characters make this production still so popular today, and I see no reason for this to ever change. You don't see writing done this well anymore. This is regarded as one of the best and most successful shows of its time, and during its 8-season run from 1960 to 1968, it never had a weak season. Most fans probably agree that the series ended at the right time, perhaps before the show lost what made it so great. But based on the numbers from the final season, we'd like to think that Mayberry could have seen much more action with plenty of success. Go back and watch an episode. It'll put a smile on your face. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.